Merhaba. In the first weeks of the second semester of elementary Turkish, we spent some time to review last semester, at least the last part of it, and maybe add one more piece to that section. So in this lesson, I will review the possessives, but just so briefly. So if you want to go back and study the subject, it's video 7 and 8, and then come back here because I'm going to add one more piece to it and explain how we use possessives for expressing location. Okay, so last semester we focused on the basic use of possessives, primarily on single possessives, and we worked on family trees to practice how we use possessives in those cases. For instance, benim annem, senin kitabın, onun arabası. So this is like a single possessive, right? In different with different pronouns. But we also focus on the third person because there are some changes happening to third person, at least when we add the genitive case in the second word. Onun arabası, for instance, araba ending with a vowel, so the buffer becomes se in the third person, right? And for instance, if it wasn't ending with a vowel like araba, onun evi doesn't have se because we don't need a buffer when the possessed noun is ending with a consonant, right? So, and also we learned how we can use the third person for inanimate objects in such ways that, for instance, evin kapısı, sınıfın tahtası, öğrencinin sorusu, right? So you can replace ev, sınıf, öğrenci with o in these cases. So onun kapısı, onun tahtası, onun sorusu, right? So in the same way, we learn to ask about the date and answer the date. For instance, bugün ayın kaçı? Bugün ayın 30'u. And of course, you can always replace I, which means month, with the appropriate name of the month. Bugün Kasım'ın 30'u. Today is the 30th of November. So it's a very common use of asking about time, the date specifically, ayın kaçı in Turkish. And then we briefly talked about double possessives, not more than that, probably. For instance, benim annemin adı. So it has two possessives here. So benim annem is the first one, and onun adı is the second one, right? Senin babanın arkadaşı, similarly, right? So again, you can replace the first possessive in the brackets with o, and nothing would change. For instance, onun adı, onun arkadaşı, it becomes, right? Let's add one more to it so that we can say multiple possessives. Benim annemin adının anlamı, the meaning of my mother's name. Senin babanın arkadaşının kalemi, the pencil of your father's friend. So I put each possessive in brackets again. You can always replace them with o, right? Onun adının anlamı or onun anlamı for the whole thing, right? So that's really cool. We can, we use this a lot in Turkish. Possessives, again, very important in Turkish. So I recommend that you review it first thing we start the semester. So let's add one more piece to that. We use possessives again to express locations, and I'm going to just briefly talk about this because we'll come back to it. I think it's nice to connect things later on, like, go incrementally. And so I added a few location words in our vocabulary list this week. Please learn them. And even before watching this video, it would be helpful to learn them. But in this video, I'm going to use only 4 of those. Üst, alt, iç, dış. Üst means on over. Alt means under. İç means inside, and dış means outside. So I'm going to use 2 locations, ev and masa, both of which we are very much familiar with. And I'm going to use these expressions now. For instance, evin içi, inside of the house. Evin içi. Evin dışı, outside of the house. Masanın üstü, on top of the table. Masanın altı, under the table. So that's it, right? So that's how you express locations. And in sentences, when you're asking about what is, where is the book, where, kitap nerede? Let's say that it's going to be on top of the table. You will need to use locative case for that, right? You can predict that right now. So let's add the locative case first. Masanın üstünde. If it was under the table, masanın altında. If we were going to say in the house, evin içinde, or evin dışında, outside of the house. So you see, with the locative case, we have the and buffer, but you already know this. The and buffer appears before the case endings when they're attached to the genitive suffix, like this, like the possessive, right? So, I'm going to show some pictures and make sentences, okay? So the question is, for this practice, kedi nerede? Where's the cat? And the first picture, kutunun içinde. Kutu means box, right? Kutunun içinde. The second picture, masanın altında. And masanın arkasında, koltuğun önünde. You see? It's actually pretty straightforward because now you know the possessives and you can use these location words. For the question, the previous exercise, I asked kedi nerede. Alternatively, you can ask yes or no questions, right? So you can say, for instance, kedi masanın arkasında mı? Is the cat behind the table? Evet, arkasında. Kedi koltuğun altında mı? Is the cat under the armchair? Hayır, altında değil, üstünde. No, it's not under the armchair. It's on top of it, right? So we're going to practice with both of these question forms. You can always use the location words for the expression location around you as a person, first person, second person. For instance, benim önümde kamera var. In front of me there is a camera, right? Senin yanında Ali oturuyor. Next to you, Ali is sitting. So we're going to also practice with these forms as well. And of course, you're going to find similar exercises in your worksheet. Work on them. And if you have questions, always bring to class. Kolay gelsin. Derste görüşürüz.